In this video we are going to learn how to subtract basic fractions. So 12 over 23 minus 7 over 23. So when we have denominator the same, it's pretty straightforward, right? We just subtract numerator. 12 minus 7, it's gonna be 5. Okay, second one, 11 over 14 minus 6 over 35. So here we have denominator 14 and 35. We need to bring to common denominator. How to find common denominator for 14 and 35? So I have special video for that at the LCD and GCD in LCM, so you can open and watch it, but now I'm going to do real quick 14 and 35. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 35 is not divisible by 2. Okay, next 7 can be divisible by 7. I brought till 1. Okay, 35 divided by 7 is 5. Okay, so since we got 1 already, so we are done with first number. So 5 we can divide by 5, and I will get 1 here. So all right, we both got 1, so we are done with division. And my common denominator, LCD, will be equal 2 times 7, 14. 14 times 5, it's going to be 70. So our common denominator is going to be 70. So what we do next, 70 divided by 14, it's going to be 5 times. Okay, and 70 divided by 35, it's going to be 2. So next step, we are going to multiply 5 times 11, it's going to be 55, and minus 2 times 6, it's going to be 12. And the result is going to be 70, and we get 43. Okay, always when we get the result fraction, we always have to look, can we simplify, or do we have improper fraction? If we have improper fraction, we have to convert into mixed fraction, but some schools require to leave it in the format of improper. But if you can simplify, then you want to simplify. 43 over 70, you can't simplify, so we leave it alone. Next one. Negative 7 over 16 plus 7 over 64. So 16 and 64. What is going to be our common denominator in this case? Well, let's find out. 16, 64. So actually I'm seeing here a 64. Well, let's see. I'll tell you later. Let me divide first, show you. Divisible by 2 is 8. So 16, we have 8 here, and 64 divided by 2 is 32. 8 I can divide another 2. So it's going to be 4. So 32 by 2 is 16. Divide by 2 is 2. 16 by 2 is 8. And this 2 I can divide by 2 will be 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 I can divide by 2, which is going to be the same 1, because you can't divide 1 by 2 without any remainder, without fraction. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 1 more 2, and we get both of them 1. So what do we get? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Or we can say 2 to power how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 to power 6 is 64. That's what I wanted to say, but then decided to let me go over show, and then I'll talk about it. Always, when you have two different denominators, you are going to take the highest denominator and see if it's divisible by the other one. So 64 divided by 16, it's going to give you 4. Therefore, you could skip all this and get 64 as a common denominator. But in the previous case, like 14 and 35, if you would take 35, it won't be divisible by 14, right? Therefore, you had to go through this. But here, 64 divisible by 16. Next time, you can save time and not to go over. This time I went over so to show it's the same thing. But you want to check the highest denominator, see if you can divide by all other denominators, just in case if you have several fractions. All right? So 64 divided by 16 is 4, and 64 divided by 64 is 1. So what do we have? 4 times 7, 28. And since we have minus here, negative, we put negative 28. Next, plus 7. Okay, negative 28 plus 7. What result we will get? It's going to be negative 21 over 64. So you can write down this negative sign in numerator. You can write down right in the middle of the fraction, or you can even write down in denominator. It doesn't matter at all. Why it doesn't matter? Because this fractional line, let me see, this fractional line is nothing else but division. So if you divide negative by positive or positive by negative, so you get negative anyway. Therefore, it doesn't matter you put negative sign on the top or at the bottom of the fraction. All right? So next example. Let me see. 7 over 12 minus 4 over 9. So 12 and 9, if you look for LCD, least common denominator, it's going to be 36. So 36 divided by 12 is 3. 36 divided by 9 is 4. So 3 times 7, 21, and 4 times 4 is 16. 21 minus 16 is 5 over 36. Again, with final answer, we are checking if we can simplify 5 and 36. We cannot simplify, so we leave it alone and we move ahead. Okay, now let's solve, do subtraction with mixed fraction or whole numbers. So I'm going to change the color, so we are starting the mixed and numbers and whole numbers. So let's assume I want to do 1 minus 3/4. It's very easy to subtract. So let's see, let's do some drafting here. Okay, so can I represent 1 as 3 over 3? Yes, of course. Can I represent 1 over 5 over 5? Sure thing. And lastly, can I represent 1 as a 4 over 4? Correct. And I am going to choose 1 represent as a 4 over 4. Why I choose 4 over 4 and not 2 over 2 or 100 over 100? Because here I have denominator 4. So I'm trying to make my life easy. So whatever denominator it's given here, I'm using that denominator because it will be easy to subtract. And minus 3 over 4. So that's equal. 4 minus 3 is 1. Here we have 4. That's it. We are done. Another example. 2 minus 5 over... No, let me try another one. Easy. And then we escalate. So 1 minus 5 over 8. So I'm going to represent 8 over 8 minus 5 over 8, right? I'm taking 8 because I have here 8, and it will be 3 over 8. Now let's show a shortcut since you already understand this. Let me show a shortcut. In cases like that, so 1 minus 7 over 11. So you don't have to go through 11 over 11 minus 7 over 11. You take your denominator 11 and subtract 7. It's going to be 4 over 11. That's it. Okay? 1 minus, look here, 8 minus 5, 3 over 8. 4 minus 3, 1 over 4. Okay? So, next, let's do subtraction from whole number by borrowing number. So if I do 2 minus 5 over 8. Okay, so if I borrow 1, 2 I can represent as a 1 plus 1, right? And this one, let's say, I can represent as a 8 over 8, correct? So what I'm going to do, I'm borrowing 1, so here will be 1. And then 8 over 8 minus 5 over 8 will be 3 over 8. Or the shortcut we know, 8 minus 5 is 3 over 8. Yes? Let's say 9 minus 11 over 12. So reduce 9 by 1 will be 8. And then 12 minus 11, it's going to be 1 over 12. Another one, 7 minus 14 over 19. So reduce 7 by 1 because we are borrowing, right? Is 6. And then 19 minus 14 is 5 over 19. We good? Pretty simple, pretty easy. All right. So next, let me see. We are doing this one. Let's say 8 and 3 over 11 minus 4. So in this case, when we have a mixed fraction and do subtract the whole number, you don't do anything, so anything else, but 8 minus 4 is 4, and 3 over 11 move right next to it. One more, let's say 9 and 7 over 12 minus 5. So 9 minus 5 is 4, and 7 over 12 moving right next to it. Okay? All right, so let's move to mixed fractions. Mixed fraction minus mixed fraction. We'll see how much we will get. Okay, let me take such example. I'm going to take 9 and, let me see, 9 and 1/2 minus 5 and 1/4. So 9 minus 5 is going to be 4, and we are looking for common denominator between 2 and 4. It's going to be 4, right? So 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So what we get, 2 times 1 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1. And the answer is 4 and 1 over 4. Okay, another one, 5 and 3 over 8 minus 2 and 5 over 6. So 5 minus 2 is going to be 3. And for 8 and 6, common denominator is going to be 24. So one more time, whoever needs to drill the skills in common denominator, go and watch the video for GCD and LCD or LCM. Okay, least common multiple, least common denominator. So 8 and 6, it's going to be common denominator 24. So 24 divided by 8 is 3. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So we get 3 times 3 is 9 minus 4 times 5 is 20. Oops, here we are getting negative number. Now here is I'm going to bring an interesting case. If I wouldn't have whole numbers, okay, if I wouldn't have the whole numbers 5 and 2, let's say if I would have 3 over 8 minus 5 over 6, so I would get 24. Here again I would get 3. Here I would get 4. And I would get obviously 9 minus 24, and I would get the negative fraction. 24 number 9, it's going to be negative 15 over 24. Okay, and we would be done. But the thing is, we have here whole number, which means we have 5 here and we have 2, which means we can borrow from these whole numbers. So this is what I'm going to do in this case. So 5, I'm going to represent, let me do drafting here. 5 and 3 over 8, I'm going to represent 4 plus 1 and 3 over 8. Because it's same 5 and 3 over 8, right? So I will get 4 and convert this the 1 and 3 over 8 into improper fraction. I multiply 1 times 8 is 8 and plus 3 is 11. 11 over 8. Okay, back to my problem. 4 and 11 over 8, which is the same 5 and 3 over 8, minus 2 and 5 over 6. Okay? So common denominator is going to be 4 minus 2 is 2, and common denominator is going to be, so let me clean this one because we didn't get anywhere with this, because we had to do these changes. So every time when you hit negative number, the subtraction gives you negative, and you have whole number here. Obviously, then you are going to do these changes. And common denominator 24, here we get 3, here we get 4, and 3 times 11, 33, minus 20, and there we go, we are getting 2, and 33 minus 20 is gonna be 13 over 24. Can we simplify 13 over 24? No. And that means this is gonna be our answer. Let me solve another one like this, guys. So to make sure we understand. Here is example. So it is going to be 6n (3 over 7) minus 2 and 5 over 7. So let's assume we have no idea what the result is going to be. So we are just subtracting. Denominator is the same. 6 minus 2 is 4, and denominator is the same. So we need to subtract 3 minus 5. Oops, we are getting negative number, 3 minus 5. So therefore, we are going back and representing 6 and 3/4. So drafting here 6 and 3/7, I'm going to represent 5 plus 1 3/7, which is going to be 5, and 1 and 3/7 is going to be 1 times 7 is 7 plus 3 is 10. 10/7. Where from I discover I can write down this way? Please go to addition of fraction. I explained there. So we get 5 and 10/7 minus 2 and 5/7, and we get 5 minus 2 is 3. Here is 7. 10 minus 5 is 5. And that's it. We got the answer. Okie dokie. We are through subtraction of fraction. I see you in multiplication and division of fractions. Well, I came back to solve this problem because I put in there and I forgot to solve it. My apologies. So I'm going to solve it real quick. So 7 and 5/12 minus 3 and 2/9. So 12 and 9, what is going to be common denominator? It's going to be 36. So 7 minus 3 is 4. So 36 divided by 12 is 3. 36 divided by 9 is 4. And we are getting 3 times 5, 15. Let me color this. And this one also. Okay, so 3 times 5 is 15, and minus 4 times 2 is 8, and we are getting 4 and 7/36. That's all. Now indeed, I'm done. See you again.